Hey guys, happy weekend, happy Saturday. Been spending some time on the Hebmüller project, trying to find all the parts and pieces. And many people, I'm sure, know about this website, the Samba, which is a very, very old website with tons of great information, including a classified search area where you can, oh look, I type in Hebmüller, which apparently I've done already before. Yeah, you just do a search here, and then it comes up with pieces and parts that people have found, or maybe they're old split window pods like here, maybe they're the actual from Hebmüller, I don't know. I'm still learning, got information, cool little model of a 1:43 scale, but it looks like this is the place to go to find most of the things you might need. Here's some fuse boxes and just really cool window cranks, glove box doors. Emblem, looks like a reproduction emblem you can get from someone in California, which is kind of nice. But then I searched a little bit harder and I found this website here where you can see that someone has built and designed a kit. You can purchase the window screen and a bunch of components that I don't even know what those are for. I can recognize some things, but definitely the iconic rear engine compartment lid, or the deck lid, is here. And yeah, super cool. And I just thought it would be really neat to talk to the people or the person whose passion has brought him to a place where he's making these parts. So I reached out to this website, emailed them, and he got back to me. And so we're gonna jump on a call now with Dirk Hortig, who, you know, has the same passion and love for these old cars as many of us do, as we're trying to figure out how we're going to put these together again and get them back on the road.
I can't believe I'm speaking to the one and only Dirk Hortig. This is a very special moment for me.
Why? It's not so special, huh? You know?
You would think so. You cannot find a Hebmüller except for museums, private collections, and maybe online photographs. Like, that's it. And so I thought maybe somebody has a kit. I look for Hebmüller kit on the Samba, and then up pops this beautiful grass layout with windshield and the deck lid and all these numbers and diagrams. And I said, well, this is it right here.
So your name even is Weed Up, so.
I have my grandfather's first name and my other grandfather's first name. The one is Václav and the other one is William. So my initials are VW.
You know, in Germany, what the word Scheich means? So it's a synonym for a very rich person. So I first thought of Vidab, maybe this is a guy who owns, I don't know, 20 or 30 or 50 Volkswagens, and that's just his nickname or so.
Right.
It's your real name, huh? So
I think there's a great story about the parts and the history of the parts that go into making the vehicle possible, and how you're keeping history alive. You and people like, I spoke with Klaus Missing, and I spoke with Peter Shepchiepens already. And these people are historians, right? They spend so many hours registering, logging, researching, nitpicking over the little detail. It's just fantastic. They all say, well, you know, Dirk's pieces are fantastic. Of course, they're but they are perfect. Yes. And I'm like, I haven't spoken to him yet. I took your advice and I went up to Pennsylvania and we looked at the 56 oval that has a lot of 55 parts on it.
I even think the body shell is older. It's not 56, I think.
I feel really good about taking on this project, and all of your advice and encouragement has just been letting me sleep at night. So enough about me. Could you introduce yourself?
My name is Dirk Hortig, and I'm into Beetles since I can think. So I guess I was even brought home from the hospital in the Vida Beetle with my parents. And my first Beetle was a 63 ragtop, which my grandparents bought for my mom when she turned 20. When I turned 17, I got this Beetle, and it was a little bit rusty, still driving. I bought a MIG welder and I started to repair it. So that was the start of my weed up hobby. I I needed the place to repair it. So my parents allowed me to do it in the garage. So I found a greenhouse in the neighboring village. My parents first were shocked because I didn't earn anything, and I just rented this greenhouse. But it turned out to be the first thing I did. So it was really the first time I was in VW business. It was the start of the entrepreneurship with the hobby. But I know I didn't see it like that. It was just
Sure.
to finance it as a pupil. So, and then I got my second weed up on a car graveyard.
I think when you say Volkswagen Cemetery, it sounds very romantic, right? These cars go to die, and then you bring it back from the dead, and you usher it out into life again, and put it back on the road.
I just was there looking for parts for my 63, and an old man was there who wanted to bring his 68
Right.
Beetle. And he was very happy. I said, "Oh, why do you want to scrap it? It's not so bad." So he said, "We want to have it." And then he gave it to me. And so that was how it all started. Yeah?
But you also are educated as an engineer, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So when I had to do my military service and I wanted to do an apprenticeship, and so I could choose, and I did an apprenticeship as a tank and lorry mechanic during my military service. So, and that was when I fell in love with mechanics and car mechanics and welding and things like that.
Okay.
And I became a mechanical engineer. I did my PhD thesis in deep drawing of car body parts. So that's where my automotive career started, let's say like this.
Terrific.
And then I became the manager of the tool and die development and process assessment at Sindelfingen plant, which is the historical site in Germany. So very proud to be a Mercedes guy there at Sindelfingen plant.
Excellent.
And then I became the manager of the press shops of production in Sindelfingen. Did this another 12 years something. And I'm now working as the head of process development and materials for Mercedes-Benz cars, still in Sindelfingen. So yeah, so that's my professional career.
And so now, but you're still currently working with Mercedes-Benz doing motor design.
I'm responsible for the materials in our cars, in all the Mercedes-Benz cars. So it's no longer the production of the press parts, but it's all the materials that are in the Mercedes. It's sheet metal, it's cast parts, plastic parts, glass, leather. Everything. So
very complex, very all involved.
Yeah.
What was if you think back, the first time you saw a Hebmüller in real life? What was that like?
I think that was when I was 18 or 19. So my hometown is next to Bad Camberg.
Okay.
Bad Camberg is a German hotspot for weed up freaks. It's the home village of Willy Lottermann. Willy Lottermann was the owner of a Volkswagen dealership back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, and he was one of the first Beetle collectors in Germany as well. And that's about I don't know 10, 12 kilometers from my hometown where I grew up. They had the Bad Camberg meeting. It's still every 4 years. I was there, and I saw many beautiful cars. I have Hebmüllers. I remember a red one, and some years later, I remember a cream-colored one in museum. So I always loved them. I bought this when I was 20, something like that.
Oh, cool!
And I love the car. That's inside the pic of the Hebmüller press.
Oh yeah, okay.
I looked at it and thought, wow, you take a piece of flat steel and make such a nice shaped part of it. So it's like artwork,
Now, where you currently press all of your fenders and pieces for your Hebmüller kit, is this the same greenhouse you've had all these years?
No, that was my first little greenhouse, or my first hall, let's say.
Sure.
And now I will soon move the cars here to Stuttgart, to the area where I live today.
Do you currently own any Hebmüllers?
Yeah, I own the body number 291.
How did you get that, Dirk? How did it come into your life? I want to know all. Tell the story.
Yeah. Okay. So when I fell in love with Hebmüllers, I did not have the money to buy one. So one day, then I decided, okay, so let's do it absolutely like original, and build the dice. And I asked around for people having Hebmüllers as samples. I was looking to find the company who did the dice, and then I found it was the company of Allgeier Automotive. They also build the tractor, and they were leading in forming technologies in the 40s and 50s. And it happened that this company is 5 kilometers from my home here. At the time when I started to build all the dice for the Hebmüller kit. By the way, I don't like to call it kit, so it's
What do you call part 1 through 7? What would you call that?
it's spare parts, Hebmüller spare parts, or something.
Hebmüller Restoration Survival Package? I don't know.
Yeah, you can call it kit, but you know the many people, when they are talking about kits, it's about fiberglass kits or something.
I understand.
Talk about lookalikes, and I tried really to do it very, very, very close to the original.
I see.
And so I asked around, and in this time I was the head of the prototyping parts and dice shop at Mercedes, and so I knew the managers of the die companies in Germany, and so I asked around, oh, do you know who did the dice? And nobody knew anything. Even the Allgeier guys here, they did not know that they had made it in the 40s.
Wow.
Then I visited Klaus Hebmüller, and he told me, oh yeah, I know it was in the Stuttgart area, and we went there with the Opel Blitz truck in 49, my uncle and me, and we picked up the die. And so I said, oh my God, there's no so many possibilities. Yes?
It's impossible. You found the unicorn.
Yeah. I asked the older colleagues there, do you know something about this car? I had a pick, and they didn't know. And then I met one person in the tool and die shop, and he said, oh, I didn't see this in person because I'm working here since 1970, so it's much older, this car. But I know behind one of the cupboards in our break room there's an old photo, and I think it's this lit. And so they really took up the cupboard, and 2 days later they called me, and they sent me a pic, and it was the pic of the molding dies of the Hebmüller decklet being on the copy milling machine.
Right.
And I said, wow. I went there again and asked if they have any blueprints or something. They said, no, sorry. I was just going out of the room. Then this guy, he asked his boss, hey, we have this sample room up in the attic. And his boss said, okay, but all that old junk, so we have to clean it up. So maybe next week we will send some of the apprentices up there, and they have to scrap all the old parts there. And I said, oh, is it possible? Can I go up there? Can I take a look at this? And we went up there, and it was really like a automotive museum. So they had parts from the brass area, very, very, very old, from Mercedes compressor roadsters, and all the old samples from the die shop. And that was the day when I found the original samples of the forming methods of these Hebmüller parts.
Unbelievable.
And the best thing is I drove a van at this time, and they said, oh, collect everything you like, you can have it.
I gave it to you.
Yes, and I went there. So it's 5 kilometers from my home. So that was really crazy. So really, almost. So if I tell this to you, maybe you may think, hey, that cannot be true. What
Believe you.
we what he's telling stories? No, it's really true. And when I was there for the second time, the boss there, the manager, told me, yeah, and by the way, in 1949, the die maker or the head of the die makers, he comes from your village, from Hattenhofen. And I said, no, that's not true. And he gave me the address, and the house of this guy is 600 meters from my house. Yeah. So for a car that was built 300 kilometers away from here in Wilfrath, and the tool and die shop is 6 kilometers, and the die maker who did it is 600. His house is 600 meters in my village, which is a small village.
Maybe it's in the water. Maybe the water in the village makes everybody want to create Hebmüller. That's all I can think
I don't know.
That's
I don't know.
What a coincidence.
I don't know.
How did you find this Hebmüller that you own now?
I started to get all the informations on the geometry of the parts, and then it was a really a good thing for me, or really really important to get these original samples. So I had all the forming stages of the original parts, but in if you form a part, there's an effect, we call it the Springback Effect. So you press a part, and if you take it out of the die, it will spring back because it's an elastic plastic behavior of the material.
Interesting.
So it springs back. Then if you form the flanges inside, the shape of the die is changing a little bit. So if you use the samples which are pressed in a die, show the Springback effect, and if you digitize them and mill a die from them, and you press another part, it will spring back once again, and so the parts will be worse and worse and worse and worse. So, and that was the part of the story where my education came in, because I was absolutely common to the die forming process, and I was able to recalculate the spring back. So I did the digitalization of the parts, of the sample parts, and then I could calculate back for the original geometry of the die. So if I press a new part, it would spring back on the original geometry of the part like 70 years ago. And so that's what we did, yeah, by the help of finite element simulation and calculation. I was at the right place at the right time, you know, because that was my job, to increase quality, geometry.
Yep.
And I did it for Sindelfingen plant, and I also used this for my hobby. And I wanted to have an original car, an accident-free car, with all the to take the measures of the assemblies, you know, because that's the next effect. You have, for example, the lid. You have an inner part and an outer part, and if you weld them together, so they are under tension, you know. Yes. So it's neither the shape of the outer skin nor the shape of the inner part. It's something in between. So you have to measure the assembly to be able to re-engineer the assembly dies, the jigs and fixtures, you know. That's the next point where you need a certain amount of overbending the parts, fixing them, and then you weld them together, and then they will spring back to zero. I was looking for somebody who could lend me his car for digitalization. And then I met a guy here in the neighboring village who had a split window Beetle. Georg Gehring was his name. He told me, oh yes, in my family there is one Hebmüller car. I don't know, his uncle or I don't know. So it's not directly his grandpa, but in his family, he was a mechanic at Volkswagen, and he had bought this car in the 60s and owned it or drove it until the 70s, and it was now belonging to his what's the word, nephew,
Yep.
who had planned to restore it, but never did it because he did not have the money, or he did not yet start it. And so he lent me the car to do the measurements. And while I had it for measurements, this guy, sadly, but he was divorced from his wife. And so he made me a crazy low price. So I did not have the money, but luckily my parents said, okay, you're such a nice guy, so we will help you. We lend you some money. And I could buy this car, and which is very nice because it has all the paperwork. I even have the so-called Wagenbegleitkarte, which is an internal paper of the Volkswagen factory, and you have all the numbers. So you have the front axle, gear, engine, all the extras that were on the car, even the key numbers and everything. So because his dad had been a mechanic at Volkswagen, he just had all the papers. The pans are rusty, but it's a very, very original car. It's even in the original title, there's the price when the car was new. So it's marked, it's 7,500 D marks.
So in 1949, this car was sold to somebody for close to, you said 7,000 marks?
7,500, which was a crazy amount of money in after-war Germany.
And now, and if you were to buy a Hebmüller in auction, they go for over $300,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You can have a house, a really nice house, or you can have this really nice car.
Yeah, I think even today, I would not want to pay it. You know,
right?
I have to work for my money. So,
well, you have kids, right? You have two children. One.
Yeah, I have twins. Yeah. So I did the first prototype of the car body. And I did all the welding spots and everything in the same place as on the original car, because I said, oh, one day you should have two Hebmüllers. So there's one original and one absolutely like the original.
Right. The replica.
Or maybe you have to interchange them sometimes or so. I don't know. So I'm sorry, I just have one original one. Yeah.
But if you look at it and they sat next to each other, you couldn't tell the difference. You would say that these two are
even me, I couldn't tell, really. Yeah. So yeah, in the original one, the welding quality is much better than in the new one. So it's much more accurate. The original cars, they are very what's the word, rustical. So they are very rough. Yeah, in some spots.
But you used to weld tanks, Dirk. I'm sure that the welds are great. Come on. And because you're German and you're engineer, it is good German engineering by default. It already falls into place like that. This is fantastic.
Yeah, I do my very best, so, you know.
And there's so much more to this conversation. I'm going to come back to it next week, guys. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. And, leave us a comment. Are you guys going to build the Hebmüller now? I think you can. Look at all these parts.